But he did it.
That really is his groove. Anytime we're jamming and the jam starts sucking, all he does is go.
That's my level
your
two.
go-to?
No, that's the level two. Like, take it up.
Let's go too. So he really blew me away that first session.
But by the 25th session,
25th session.
No, when the first session, he swore I was there. He's like, I'm throwing it at you, Andy. You got it, Andy. You're the one. It was like a couple weeks in, he started figuring it out. The jig was up. He's got 3 modes.
Yeah, he's got three
okay.
modes.
In different tempos.
A little bit of bop, zoom, bop, zoom. I wish you had a drum set here.
look at this place. Look at the opulence of this place. This legendary garden area at the Beverly Hills Hotel. I wasn't sure we'd ever make it back here.
Right.
But I'm glad I'm here with you two gentlemen. Look at us having this secret meeting.
Can you believe it, Zane?
No one else is around. Just us. A secret meeting about the secret meeting that led to the secret meeting. Man, you guys keep a secret. I'll give it to you.
Everyone's been saying that, but
He's good at that. I would have told
Really?
everybody.
Yeah.
I was ready to. I'm like, man, I was denying so many. Everybody wanted hooks. Everybody, I was so much money I missed. And you know, it was great.
I'll make it up to you, Andy. I'll make it up.
No, it was good. He said-
Long-term business model.
Yeah, that's it.
He said, Andy, just trust me. Do it my way. You'll never be the same.
That's a lot of trust for, what was it, 2017, 2018, I want to say? You guys must have cooked this up on tour. I mean, this must have been an
He
immediate
said he
connection.
told me this last week.
What?
Wow.
No, as soon as we started working on it, you know, he's like,
Yeah, there's a song on the album that we started in 2017 that
Wow.
was on tour.
Wow.
And it was just like a little phrase that we had that we were joking around, going back and forth about. And when we got to the studio, I actually called him on his birthday and I said, I think I figured out that little hook we had. Come to the studio. He's like, it's my birthday. So he came drunk. After every take, he was on fire. He was like, you
my
kept
25th birthday, bro. What you gonna do?
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
There's worse things to do, though, than go to the studio and work on something that
feeling
led
myself.
to something as great as this.
And that's what it was. It
Yeah.
snowballed. It was like, well, you want to come back tomorrow? And we kept coming up with music. It felt like why you fall in love with music in the first place.
Yeah.
And jamming with your buddy.
There's no plan.
There's no plan. Just working out the parts and trying to excite each other, you know?
That's what's so beautiful about what I heard and the way that it's landed. No plan. It's like we like each other. We like what each other does. Let's see what we can do together. And no one has to hear it, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if it didn't connect, no one has to hear it. When did you realize we had to hear it?
Dang, good question. When we felt like this is the best we could do. Leave the door open. Took us forever to put together.
I'm not surprised there's 35 chords and 16
Hey,
turnarounds
you hear
in it.
that? Yeah, that's
Oh
us
my
being really ambitious.
Yes, no, it's you
And-
guys showing off. This
and-
is what we can
well,
do
I'll tell
because you
this,
can't
that's
do this.
Anderson, one take on the drums.
Wow.
One take on the
Wow.
drums when I said, check out this, leave the door open. And he said, all right, the drum groove got to be like this. And he just
Wow.
goes into the booth. That whole song is Anderson, one take down.
All feel, one go.
Yeah. And what's the beat? What?
Sap, zoom, bap, zoom, sakum, bap, zoom. I mean, since a child, I've been hearing this groove.
And then I only realized later on that that's the only groove he plays.
When he can't come up with the right hook, I gotta take it there. Because it's called branding. You
It's
know,
called branding.
what I heard.
Listen,
what I
you
was taught.
joke, you joke, but here's the thing I was thinking on the way over here because I was listening to the intro and the song on repeat, right? And one of the first things that really jumped out is just how identifiable each of you immediately is. Now, that's pretty clear when it comes to you, Bruno, but Anderson, beyond your voice, just your playing is so identifiable now that I reckon if you laid out just drum tracks, 6 different drum tracks, and only one was yours, everyone would zero in on it straight away. It's mad.
Oh man, it's awesome. It's great to be able to utilize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, to go with the collaborations these days, you get so many collaborations where a lot of it's done through email. You never
Yeah.
meet the person. It's text. It's like a play. It's all this shit. And people don't understand, like, when you get in and you can jam with someone, another artist that can hold it down and you're bouncing, that's a difference, you know, and you really creating a groove from scratch. You guys are trying to figure out what's gonna work, what's the math behind this that's gonna get everybody feeling good. What is it too heavy, is it not heavy enough? And especially with this song, it's a song that requires so much patience and delicate.
Delicacy.
Delicateness?
Deli-
Delicacy.
De-
Delectability?
Delicatessen. Go ahead.
Delicatessen.
Uh-huh.
A lot of meat
very
went into this song.
Let's go roll
Delta
cold cuts by.
blues.
Delta Swamp Blues was what we were going for, and then, what we ended up with, it's a hit.
He's one of the baddest drummers I've ever seen.
Serious.
And you're gonna hear that all over the album. That's what really inspired so much. It was a new way. I've never created music like that with like drums being the focus. I'm kind of like, I'll pick up a guitar. I do it almost backwards. Like, that's what I like, and Uptown Funk is like written on a piano. And then the rest is like figuring it out, all right, how is this gonna work? Andy is this monster behind the drums, and you're gonna hear it all over the album.
That's so musical.
It's so musical, but then he's can nobody play like him?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and
The hats.
Yeah, it comes from like a different era. That's what it felt like when I heard him play drums in the studio. It's like, man, you don't come from this new school musician. You come from those old school musicians back in the day that one drummer would play on everyone's record. Or like the Funk Brothers at Motown.
Yeah.
I can't wait for everyone to hear the rest of the stuff.
And Bruno played drums too.
Thank you.
Don't get it twisted.
I was waiting.
Don't get it twisted.
I was waiting.
He could have played them hi-hats. He chose not to.
Well, when you're producing the record, right, when you're going in there, then you have to be able to see things from a certain altitude,
Yeah.
right, in order to be able to figure out what's right for the record, and sometimes even encourage your partner that it's good enough.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because you hear something that each other doesn't hear. And I always think, like, why more successful artists don't look for an opportunity to surprise each other?
Yeah.
Isn't that the joy of it? You guys get to come together and be surprised by somebody else, because there's something kind of lonely about being an artist and successful without having people to surprise you. It's slightly different for you. You got your band, and you got your band too, but you guys are kind of your own artists, right?
Yeah, and that's why this wouldn't happen if it didn't make sense and it didn't feel natural and organic. This was a series of events that led us to, man, why don't we just do it? Starting with the tour, us creating a friendship and a bond, and talking to each other and sharing the same love for music, getting into the studio, quarantine, all of these things.
Yeah.
It was the equation to get this album, and that's God,
Silk Sonic, right? It's definitely got a concept to it. An evening with Silk Sonic, Bootsy Collins, the ultimate blaster of the universe, putting the whole thing together.
Yes.
The idea of there being some kind of existential force that's fueling the funk.
The set list of doom.
That's what the
We can't do shows right now.
yeah.
We in there, so we created a show within the studio.
But it feels like a show when you hear it.
There's always showtime with us.
Yeah.
We can't help it. We can try to be regular probably at some point in our lives, but we can't help it.
Can
We
you
just- we
please?
just
We're
two
waiting
extra
for that.
people.
We've been wanting you guys to
we're
be...
too extra.
Nah, it's not in our nature.
It's not fun enough.
Yeah.
So we need a Bootsy to kind of like,
Yeah. When he comes in with that
Yeah,
voice, it's just so
yeah.
crazy. It's like, that is funk in its essence. What is it about Bootsy when you were growing up? I mean, first of all, let me ask you this. It must blow your mind a little bit that an artist as influential to both of you as Bootsy Collins, Funkadelic Parliament, the entire experience, you find yourself sharing this
Yeah.
project with an artist like that.
Yeah. Well, for me, Bootsy is the definition of a superstar. Just for everything. The songs, the vibes. He sprung there's so many artists, that you could see that grew up on him. And me and Andy being a couple of guys that just grew up loving that, and we thought it'd be incredible if we could dream up a dream set list, and that was our motto in the studio. All right, well, let's create the set list of doom. Who would be the ultimate host that could thread all these songs together? And thank God for Bootsy.
So much fun, right? To make it. To be that kind of conceptual, but also be yourselves. Because this music is who you are as people, but you've been able to kind of get into this space where it is kind of character driven. At least the project feels that way a little bit. What's the balance between the two? How did you kind of come up with this idea of what Silk Sonic is?
I mean, jeez, that was like a lot of questions in one.
that was
huh?
a lot, but I think it was trying
what
to
I
say
do.
is, what's it
I
like?
was like, which one?
What's
That's
like
what I
being a
do.
band?
What's it?
You gotta meet, you gotta talk, you gotta eat, you gotta joke.
Sorry, you know what? Let me clear this up where I get to ask this question for the first time in 29 years. How did you get your name?
Yeah.
That's how it was. You gotta really work. You gotta like be in there, getting creative with each other, living, going out, listening and vibing out. And like, once we got the music, Bootsy was like, we had a bunch of different names.
Yeah.
Like what?
RoboCop Funk.
It's pretty good.
The Conquistadors.
The
That's very
Conquistadors.
good.
We had some Spanish ones that didn't really.
The
work
Atlantic
out.
Stars, but we're not
Wait.
both signed to Atlantic, so that, I don't know if that works. We were almost about to go public with that one.
Let's go public. Then our lawyers called us and said there's a group called Atlantic Star already.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
I don't
there's
know if
Atlantic
Stars
Star.
is gonna
Yeah.
work.
But Bootsy kind of was like, let me do the naming. He named Babyface.
Yeah, do you know that?
Nope.
Bootsy Collins is the one who named Babyface.
Wow, did he tell you the story?
Babyface told me, and I feel like should be Babyface telling this story.
Right.
But I'll
Speaking of
tell it.
which-
Come on, man.
That's my boy. All right, I hope I don't botch this. Babyface and his friends are in the studio. Bootsy Collins walks in, looks around the room, looks at the time, it's Kenny Edmonds, and says, "What's up, Babyface?" And the whole room starts cracking up. They got a show the next night. And the guy says, "Ladies and gentlemen, Kenny Edmonds." And he said, got the golf clap. The night after that, as a joke, the host said, who was in that room, said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Babyface." And the girls went crazy. And it stuck.
Love that. So he's got a way with names.
He's got away with names.
Yeah. And what did you guys think immediately when he listed that one?
Done deal.
Done.
He could have said whatever. It would have been whatever he wanted.
Yep.
Bob's Big Bar and
Yeah, we'll
Barbecue
take it.
Grill.
It's better than Atlantic Stars.
Yeah, the lava lamps. Like, we were going to go with a lot of different things.
Lava Lamp sounds almost like a sort of late 60s West Coast surf band.
Right.
Yeah,
The Lava
I
Lamp.
loved it. My team loved it. But
Bruno, I want to talk a little bit about, you've been producing your music the whole time, just working with people.
Yeah.
And I think that first of all, that needs to be acknowledged. And second of all, you stepping in and you and Anderson really helming this thing and you really wanting to, like, you know what, I don't need anybody to be next to me this time. What was the most fun part of that for you? What was the best part of that for you?
Him lighting the fire. Anderson coming into the studio and unlocking something in my brain that I've never used before. That's what you hope. That's how inspiration happens, even just hearing him talk. Being a songwriter, sometimes you hear things in your voice, but working with other artists and you hear the way they talk, all of
Yeah.
a sudden you start thinking differently.
Yeah.
Even for as simple as it being working with a female artist. You hear their voice and the way they say things. It triggers something and it gets your creative going. So a lot of these songs stem from us either joking around and something he said or I said, it's like, man, that just feels so good. Let's just figure out a way to put that in the song. Or, like he said, like him just going behind the drums and just hitting something that's just like, damn, that it is going.
But it's hard, man, that authenticity. First of all, to make it feel modern, right? Because if you try to make it too authentic and it just becomes something that is so reflective of the time within which that sound occurred, the first time you're just locked in a vortex and people don't give a shit. So you got to make it modern. You're going to make it feel like it happens now. You did that really effectively on doo-wops. You've been doing that through the Coastal Matrix the whole time, searching for new ways to reinvent what inspired you in the first place. But this shit is so deep. Like the instrumentation, the whole feel, the vibe, the chord changes, everything about it. Was that what Anderson unlocked for you? The ability to go that far into it?
I think that's the product of two musicians flexing in front of each other.
No doubt.
You know,
Pushing.
and I think that's an old school mentality because if you listen to all those other records, all it is boils down to showing off.
Yeah, yeah.
You listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, you listen to Parliament, you listen to all these records. That man, those musicians were just showing
Even
off.
Chicago, man, they were the
Chicago-
biggest show-offs
well,
ever.
and also I think they have this killer mentality because they know at some point they're gonna have to do shows together.
So they got to go for it.
So they got to go for it,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
our set list is gonna be better than your set list,
Yeah.
and it's
you ain't going to want to play after
you're not
us.
gonna want to play.
Everyone's
That-
going to be all shy.
Yeah, that's what it was, and that's the mentality that we had in the studio. It's like, all right, well, it's like let's kill them.
Yep.
That's so good. Like, so that chord at the end of the chorus where you take it into that, I don't even know how you describe it, but it's like it should go positive, but you go melancholy.
Yeah.
That chord at the end of that chorus,
Yeah.
it's just like, watch this.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, and listen, got to work with some incredible musicians.
Like who?
Brody Brown, who I've been working with for over a decade. D Mile, extremely talented producer.
On
who's
fire right now.
Yeah, it's just some buddies jamming. And fortunately for me, these guys are killers at their instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just been a pleasure to be in the room. And some days is worse than others, but then the day you get that magic, which is few and far between because it's just hard, there's no greater feeling.